Hi everyone. For the first question about the weekend's films that we watched, and how the rating is connected to the films, it's about mostly ideology of film and how that demonstrates in American Psycho that I noticed was Patrick Bateman has two lives, one by day and the other at night. During the day, he is a corporate professional, and during night, he is a serial killer, whereby he experiments both with fear and brutality. This is considered his substitute psychopathic ego. It is thus a sardonic comedy evaluating the facts that turn an individual into a monster. Based on the categories delined by the American Psycho film, belongs to the fifth category, which entails films that initially seem to be affiliated to a particular ideology and be under its influence, but after some time turns out be that the only way in an energetic way. On this basis, it is a valid emphasis on the formal and narrative alternatives used in the film. An idiocracy is actually an ideology about the future, or a dystopia. While genetics can play a role in an individual's brain processing power, what that brain tends to determine how intelligent one is. Even people with terrible differences can have social talent, or be good at mechanics, or come up with a creative idea once in a while. What usually dragged down everybody's intellect, the future portrayed in this movie, is that stupidity came to be genuine and popular as kind of a romanticized revolt against overuse of stupid and all of its synonyms to describe one's political opponents. Instead of being ashamed of alleged stupidity, some candidate proudly proclaims his ignorance of all things. The ignorant faggy intellectual class knew that just weren't so. As was swept into power by a landslide, the young revolters convinced being an idiot in the eyes of Vincent Flags from the previous generation was cool. They also regularly started calling these angels fags in order to shock and offend politically correct parents. Where I saw a dominant ideology showcased in the films, I'm focusing on American Psycho for that. In American Psycho, it has some dominant ideologies that focus on gender and capitalism. Therefore, the main message of the film passed through the audience with self-centered fury through underneath the delicious pretense of American capitalism. Thus, American Psycho brings the category that involves the films that initially seem to be affiliated to a particular ideology under its influence. After some time, it turns out to be the only energetic way, due to the following reason. The film begins to convey a point of view with the protagonist Patrick Bateman exercising capitalism, whereby he is invested in banking and executive on Wall Street. However, the standpoint is worked on whereby there exists an indelible gap between the start of the film and its end. After that, the film brings up the independence and the two ideologies, gender and capitalism. On gender, Bateman is seen to be very mean to women in his life. Instead of treating them as equals, he treats them to be exchangeable and expendable, objects pushing gender as biological and not social constructs. As for the third question on hemogenic order, I'll focus on one film, and I'll choose American Psycho again. The hemogenic order I noticed in American Psycho was the life of Patrick Bateman is filled with instances of lost control, as his homicidal consumption is not the only thing that has power over him. There are also onslaughts of intense emotions, other anger, such as a strong sadness, as fast self-pity, extreme nervousness, as intense nostalgia, and whole instances of unreasonable nameless dread, suggesting additional mental conditions aside from psychopathy. Then there is an anxiety to live in the greatest luxury available to have control over it. exemplified by moments when he panics over dinner reservations, constantly worries about having the perfect hair, feels depressed over not having the best business card, and he has a crack in the wall and ruins his favorite TV show. To compensate for these moments of weakness, Patrick uses routines and rituals as an attempt to retain control, exercising at a gym, shopping, rearranging furniture, counting things around him, and also torture and murder. Committing violence seems to truly help his anxiety. The aftermath, the fear, no confusion. Finally, what makes him lose control of everything that threatens his fragile ego. And for the last question, what film I preferred and why? I preferred American Psycho because it uses a real violence as a stand-in for corporate greed. American Psycho's meaning at its very core is commentary on the inherent violence of corporate greed. Christian Bale's movie roles were picked very well, in my opinion. And he has a preference for stories that dig deep into human nature. And that's all I really have.